Okay.
Hopefully. Now, Chair.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Councillor Rob Baker, Chair of this committee. I would like to inform everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet via the Council's website and will be capable of repeated viewing. The images and sound recording may be used for training purposes within the Council. In order to ensure that the meeting is managed effectively, can everyone please keep to the following guidelines for speaking? Councillors should only use the raise their hand function to request to speak and only speak when invited to do so by the Chair. Please switch off your camera and microphone when not speaking, and remember to set your mobile phone to silent for the duration of the meeting. Any views expressed by any speaker in this meeting are the speaker's own, and they do not necessarily reflect the views of the Council. Please can councillors be aware that the webcast will continue to be streamed live 20 seconds after the close of the meeting. This is due to a time delay in transmitting live. We'll now confirm the names of the members of this committee. So there's myself, Councillor Baker, Councillor Dupee, Councillor Benzer, Councillor Capper, Councillor Evans, Councillor Hardy, Councillor Huddleston, Councillor Kirkham, Councillor Mackey, Councillor Roberts and Councillor Scott. Kerry, do we have any apologies for absence?
None, Chair.
Thank you. In that case, then, we shall proceed to item 2 on the agenda, which is to receive disclosures of interest on any matters before the committee. So has anyone got any pecuniary interest to declare? Is that a hand up, Councillor Evans?
It's not a pecuniary interest, it's other interest.
Okay, well, I don't think we have any pecuniary interest, so we'll take your other interest, please.
Yeah, it's just to say that I am providing some unpaid and just help with a local organisation in dealing with their Foodie Friday events, which includes street traders coming in and selling food. So just to, as it's been discussing the street trading policy, just to sort of make you aware of that, basically.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. So we'll note that interest. Okay. So moving along to item 3, which is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, which is pages 3 and 4 in your report pack. Does anyone have any comments or amendments for the minutes of the previous meeting, please? Okie dokie. So I'll take that everyone's happy and we can move on. So item 4 is the street trading policy review and consultation, which is pages 5 to 28 in your packs. If we ask Alicia, please, to take us through this report.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. So the report tonight is around our street trading. So reason for the report is to propose a revised street trading policy. This will run 2024 to 2027, which has been prepared for consultation. Recommendation tonight is that the committee approves the policy of consultation in accordance with the timetable outlined in paragraph 7.5 of the report, and that following the together with a summary of those key consultation comments will be brought back to licensing committee for consideration, and the final policy will then be presented to full council for formal adoption. On the 1st of October 2008, the council redesignated the streets in High Peak in accordance with Schedule 4 of the Local Government Miscellaneous Provisions Act and introduced a street trading consent policy and a framework policy to provide a transparent decision-making process and ensure that the system operated within appropriate constitutional arrangements. It is a requirement of the licensing authority to regularly review and update their policies to reflect the changes in the legislation and any local circumstances, safeguarding issues, etc. The last review took place in 2019, so it is due for review now. I will go through just the main elements of the review. It's not the whole policy, and also the timetable at 7.5. So essentially going out for consultation to traders and consultees over April and May, and noting those responses and bringing it back July, August then for the next full council meeting after then. So draft street trading policy. Main changes on this is really to reflect the emissions. So Those are in yellow and red on page 5. So essentially, the Council's climate change plan aims to ensure that our strategies and policies support our commitment. So we'll be introducing there at first application, vehicles must not exceed must meet or exceed the Euro 6 on there for diesel, Euro 4 petrol, and from renewal the 1st of January 2025. So that will affect our existing street traders, that the licenses will not be reviewed in respect to the licenses if they do not comply to that. And obviously there's some options there for how they will comply around that. Also, there are some updates on the application process, which is on page 6 of the report. We are asking now to provide a photographic ID and evidence of their right to reside and work in the UK, and also that the basic disclosure is obtained no older than 3 months on first application, then yearly on renewal. Also, that the applicant must provide evidence of commercial waste contracts and contracts including oil, if relevant, for disposal of their waste. Also, variations on page 10 around street trading for change of vehicle, unit change of hours, days of trading, and change of items to be sold. We have some additional fee structures there around seasonal issues such as Christmas, and also some fee structure exemptions there around the fees that are already levied by Derbyshire County Council. And that concludes all of those updates on that particular one. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Alicia. So we'll take any questions on the policy, please. Councillor Scott, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Alicia. I'm just wondering, is it because we want to bring it in line with the climate change plan? There's talk about waste, disposing of waste, but there's no mention of recycling, that any street traders should make efforts to recycle their material, and also possibly to say something about bringing things in line with current government legislation about single-use plastic, etc. So I wondered if there's room within the document to kind of boost up the climate change plan by including those.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. I think those are valuable comments. Alicia, do you want to respond?
Yep, thank you, Chair. Yes, so absolutely, we are going to put some additional information in there. Around the single-use plastics, it is a trading standards function to enforce. However, I will do a paragraph around a caveat there to say that food business operators must adhere to other legislation, single-use recycling, and we'll put some more in there around that, absolutely. So that's already been mentioned, so we'll make sure that goes in before it goes out for consultation.
Thank you.
That's lovely, thank you. That's all very valuable. Any other questions from councillors present? I can't see any hands up. I did just want to raise one point, Alicia. It's not really an issue as such. Just there's a section on page 12 that talks about if you're a registered charity or so on, or if you're an entirely charitable organisation in nature. I just wondered around that, just from my own personal experience of being involved with a group that is not a registered charity but is entirely charitable in its nature. It can sometimes be difficult to provide or difficult to understand what the requirements of that are. So I wonder if perhaps either just as an additional paragraph in there, or possibly as an attached appendix, we could give some guidance to those groups about how they go about demonstrating their charitable nature. So, you know, things like providing a copy of their constitution, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. We can put that in there, or as part of the policy, we can put a bit of a footnote in there to say it is judged on a case by case, and where officers do feel they generally come to me, and I'll have a discussion around that really. And you know, as long as we can demonstrate, then you know, absolutely, we do want those types of groups to, you know, to thrive and make sure that they've got a place in all of this. Absolutely.
Brilliant. I'm pleased to hear that. That's great. Is everybody satisfied with the timetable that is listed? Is it 7.5 in the report, I believe? Just track back slightly.
It is, I think, just
At 7.5. Anyone have any comments around that? I suppose my only comment is if we're not going to be bringing it back to licensing committee until August, we perhaps could give a slightly longer consultation period. I think it's down to June at the moment, but perhaps we could extend that just into July, just for maximum consultation. Councillor Evans, you've got a question?
It's a similar point, really. As Alicia was probably aware, the principles of good consultation would like slightly longer than an 8-week consultation process. So my comment is probably the same. In why are we using an 8-week consultation process when principles of good consultation is just a slightly longer process? And if there is time in the timetable to give a longer bite at the cherry for consultees, and I would like to see that also. Thank
you, Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Chair. Yep,
yeah,
we can absolutely go for 12-week consultation if everyone's in agreement with that. More than happy, that's fine.
Is there any disagreement to that? No, I'll take it by exception. No, I think that all makes sense. Okay, if there are no further questions, we'll move on from this policy. Lovely. Okay, so we are on to agenda item 5, which is the enforcement update, which is pages 29 to 32 in your report packs, and we're back to Alicia for the update. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So second report tonight is enforcement update. Reason for the report tonight is to update members on the enforcement activity undertaken by the licensing section since the last meeting of the committee. Excuse me, recommendations are that committee note the contents of the report. So in the period from November 2023 to February 2024, the licensing service has engaged in a number of enforcement actions. These activities have involved reactive responses to complaints and intelligence received from the public and partner agencies, as well as proactive compliance checks. It is pleasing to report that the licensing section overall is pleased with the good level of compliance against the legislation. Officers do seek to encourage licence holders to conduct their activity in a safe manner and maintain good standards and to comply with the law. Officers have to exercise considerable discretion when approaching individual licence officers, as licensees are often anxious to comply with the law, and as such cases, officers will provide guidance and advice. However, in carrying out their functions, officers are authorised with a wide range of powers and may, for example, require entry at any reasonable time or require the production of certain documents. If on inquiry, officers find evidence that the law is being broken and enforcement is required, they can respond in various ways and may instruct the licensee to provide information or may use a warning letter, revoke or suspend licenses to that. We can also formally caution or prosecute without prior warnings if alternative sanctions are not sufficient and that doesn't work. Below is a summary of the activity that's been carried out during that period. This will include contacts made with taxi drivers and operators and contacts made in relation to the process. As you can see below, we've got a list of what's happened there over the last few months. Also, there's been 9 joint visits with police. We've attended the pub watch, and also there's been 3 evening taxi enforcements in the Buxton area. Update there on CCTV. Licensing team and myself as head of service are continuing to work with the local taxi drivers and operators in relation to introducing either the voluntary or mandatory CCTV in vehicles. However, to date, the council has not received sufficient evidence to adopt a mandatory scheme. However, further work does continue with the police and other regulatory partners to establish where, if any issues are arising from the nighttime economy. And the council officers and myself will continue to review the data and issues that may arise from this. We have been successful also to update new part-time additional enforcement officer, and that's been welcomed, and there is some enforcement work planned there in the coming months around the taxis. He's done quite a bit of work with Gloucester Port Authority, and just reminding taxi drivers around wearing their ID badges, and also making sure the vehicles are clean and that decals are displayed. So that will continue, and we are planning some evening nighttime economy visits as well in Buxton and also in Glossop. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Alicia. It's a comprehensive report, and particularly welcome the arrival of the new enforcement officer as well. That's very, very welcome. Do we have any questions on the enforcement update, please? Yeah, Councillor Evans.
Sorry, it's me again. I'm just wanting to dig down a little bit into the 9 joint visits with the police, and whether these were pre-planned sort of monitoring exercises that take place regularly, or whether they were as a result of any significant intelligence of an issue that needed addressing, and what really were the outcomes, and what are we getting out of these, and are they likely to reoccur, or I suspect the answer to the last one is dependent on the first one.
Yeah, so generally they are compliance visits with the police around where we may have issues with licensed premises. So we would be going in as a joint with the police to offer maybe an action plan, or have a chat with them about, you know, if there's been issues that have come up around nighttime economy, around sort of crowd control, around those type of issues really. So they are generally prompted. Some are routine, but they are generally prompted by, you know, some intelligence that's been received.
So out of those 9, how were routine visits, and how many were prompted by intelligence, and what was the outcome? Have we seen significant issues? Is 9 high? Is 9 normal?
I would say 9's normal for that period of time. We're looking at 3 months really. So, you know, it's only, you know, three a month really. And we're also running lots of initiatives around the bleed kits, and also the intoxicated. So again, that may include any new licensees that had come to premises. So a little bit of training around there. So a joint visit with the police and ourselves to introduce the intoxicated, and just make them aware of what they need to do. I'm absolutely happy to provide on the next update to committee, or broaden that, where we can sort of break that down, if that would be useful to members, and any outcomes, positive or negative, or any sort of trends that we are seeing really for the next meeting.
I think that was the question really, is whether there was a trend, whether there was a particular area or a particular issue that we were seeing that these were driving these visits really. So a bit of sort of drilled down information would be pretty useful for you.
Yeah, I agree there. I think that level of breakdown would be really interesting to see. So if we can have that for the next meeting, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Councillor Hardy, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, just a couple of things really. I've had a couple of taxi drivers, local taxi drivers in Glossop, complaining that Uber taxis are being parked on the rank on Henry Street. Now, I don't know if that's right or wrong, but are they able to do that, Uber taxis? And the second thing was, one of the local councillors actually got in a supposed taxi with a sign on the top, but there was no plate on the back of the vehicle, and there was no meter in the car. I think he has spoken to somebody at the council about this. Again, I know it's enforcement, but if you can sort of give me some ideas on that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yep, so I'll just, Chair, if that's okay, I'll take the 2 points. So the Uber are not supposed to be parked on the rank. We don't have an operator with Uber in that area, so absolutely not. So that intelligence will be passed on. In relation to the complaint that was made, that particular driver has received 4 penalty points for not displaying plates, and a second allegation is also being received, and that is being dealt with at the moment. So we are taking you know, a proactive approach now, and the penalty points will be applied to drivers that are not wearing sufficient ID, and if vehicles are not displaying decals, and if vehicles are dirty or anything else. So there is a big push now just to report that the decal supplier has received 20 orders for new decals in the last few weeks. So the message is definitely getting out there, and the enforcement officer will be working very closely with those drivers, you know, and the profession really, to just make sure that they are complying with our policy and making sure that they're not getting complacent.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Hardy, and thank you, Alicia, for that comprehensive answer. Do we have any other questions on the report? Right, I cannot see any other hands up, and I think that concludes the business. So with that, I will thank you for your attendance and wish you a pleasant evening.
Thank you.